नमस्कार साथियों, नीलकंठ ऑनलाइन क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। और आज मैं फिर आपके सामने लेके आया हूँ पेपर फर्स्ट यूजीसी नेट के लिए। तो ऐप के ऊपर वसुंधरा जी आपका स्वागत है, और इस पे देवेश अग्निहोत्री, शिवानी शर्मा। बाकी सब लोगों ने अभी तक अटेंडेंस नहीं लगाई है। जितने साथी अपनी अटेंडेंस लगाएं। आप सभी का स्वागत है जितने साथी जुड़े हुए हैं। चलिए, तो पहले यूनिट में ट्राइपोलर थ्योरी हमने देखी थी। वी हैव सीन द ट्राइपोलर थ्योरी ऑफ द एटम्स, द थ्री पोल्स in which we have seen the education or the society as one pole. Second, विकास जी भी ऐप पे हैं। Second, we have seen the educand and the educator. तो आज हम एजुकेटर के एंड के ऊपर बात करना शुरू करते हैं, जो कि पहला यूनिट जो हमारा टीए का है उसके ऊपर सेकंड चीज देखते हैं। शुरभी अहुजा, वेलकम। नेक्स्ट वीक से ये ऐप पे होने लगेगी क्लास, क्योंकि मैं जैसे ही ये चैप्टर खत्म करूंगा, इसके बाद 4 चैप्टर हैं हमारे, तो उसमें से पहला चैप्टर एंड होगा, उसके बाद मैं सिर्फ ऐप पे लूंगा। तो आप सब लोग ऐप को एक्सेस करना शुरू कर दीजिएगा, जितने लोग अभी यूट्यूब पे जुड़े हुए हैं। जितने साथी यूट्यूब पे हैं और अगर वो इस कोर्स को खरीदना चाहते हैं तो आप टेस्टस्टार ऐप को डाउनलोड कीजिएगा, और टेस्टस्टार ऐप को अभी टेक टीम आपको इसके ऊपर डिस्क्रिप्शन दे देगी अगर आपने अभी तक ये परचेज नहीं किया है। If you have not purchased this course, you can purchase this course at Teststar app, because from next week, teaching aptitude class will be conducted on the app. Furthermore, the demo classes for the further units will be conducted on this app. चलिए, तो फिर हम आज का कंटेंट देखते हैं। अब इसमें हम जो आज जो कंटेंट देख रहे हैं वो चैप्टर 1 के ऑब्जेक्टिव्स जो है हमारे, तो इंटरस्टेट न्यू टीचर असेसमेंट एंड सपोर्ट कंसोर्टियम, ये यूएस का एक हमारे पास इंस्टैक प्रिंसिपल्स है जो इफेक्टिव टीचिंग के ऊपर बात करते हैं। इसको हमें लेके चलना है। और इन्होंने बोरिस की थ्योरी थी, जो प्रिंसिपल्स हैं बोरिस के, इसके ऊपर ये पूरा का पूरा इन्होंने डिफाइन किया। और here we see the key behaviors. There are key behaviors of the effective teaching and helpful behaviors which we will study today. अगर आप पिछले जब से सीबीएसई के पास आया तब से आप अगर क्वेश्चन उठा के देखेंगे तो इसके ऊपर 1 या 2 क्वेश्चन हर बार इस थ्योरी के ऊपर आ रहे हैं, इंस्टैक थ्योरी के ऊपर आ रहे हैं। हर बार आना है इंस्टैक थ्योरी के ऊपर क्वेश्चन। सो वी विल सी द इंस्टैक थ्योरी, हम इसके ऊपर चर्चा करेंगे। एक बार ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के ऊपर मैं दोबारा चर्चा कर लेता हूं आपका। When we study this paper, what we will see what an effective teacher is. What? Then how we can become an effective teacher? Because the trilogy of what, why, and how, that is very important for developing the understanding in any concept. किसी भी संकल्पना में अगर आपको एक समझ लेनी हो, अंडरस्टैंडिंग लेनी हो, तो ये ट्रायलॉजी होती है जिसको हमें डेवलप करना होता है। तो वाई हम समझ गए जब हमने एजुकेशन को देखा। वी हैव सीन द नेचर ऑफ द एजुकेशन और द एजुकेशन साइकोलॉजी। वी हैव सीन द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ द एजुकेशन और द एजुकेशन साइकोलॉजी। वी हैव सीन द पोल्स ऑफ एजुकेशन इन द एजुकेशन साइकोलॉजी। सो वी हैव अंडरस्टूड द वाई देयर. So now we are better equipped to understand what and how, because if we don't understand why, then we cannot understand what and how. So now we are going to understand what is an effective teacher and how we can achieve it, how we can become an effective teacher. And there are various concerns related to that. The concerns like, are there different definitions? Because definitions will lead us to the approaches of the teaching. सोच हमें लेने को देगा, viewpoint of the teaching. And the practices we have to perform, we have to conduct if we are going for the effective teaching. And self-evaluation, how we gonna know that whether if we have facilitated a process, if we have done something for the teaching, whether it will promote the effective teaching or not, how we gonna understand it, how we gonna assess it. It is also very important. And the questions are being asked again and again on these 5 questions, which we gonna understand when we complete this unit. So in the education part, we have seen why of this thing. So Instec 1 talks about the central concepts, which I have taken up for the UGC net, because we are not going to study whole of the book. It is around, I think, 250 pages book. I have chosen some topics out of it, like the central concepts, tools of inquiry, structures of disciplines, like the Borish theory, which I gonna discuss today. Then we will take up the understanding how the learning differ from one student to another, one learner to another, because it varies and we have to understand where it varies. Then we can adapt ourselves to facilitate the particular kind of learning suitable for the particular kind of learner. So the approaches, like the question has been asked again and again on the constructivist approach. What is the constructivist approach? Then the instructional strategies. What are our instructional strategies so that we can facilitate the learning? हम कैसे इसको कर सकते हैं जिससे कि encouragement हो बच्चे का for the development of thinking, problem solving, performance skills. We have to understand the variety of strategies. So we're gonna understand all these in this first unit. So today's we are taking up the Borish. Borish has actually, Gary de Borish, the pronunciation is Borish. The spelling is B-O-R-I-C-H. Boric, you can call it. Borish, you can call it. So in the American accent, it is called Borish. In the British accent, it is called Boric. In his book, Effective Teaching Methods, Research-Based Practice, this book is particularly suitable for the higher education teaching. Why it is suitable for the higher education teaching? Because he is talking about the research-based practices. And research-based practices are basically implied in the higher education, where the focus is on the construction function of the education. We have seen the functions of education. जो फंक्शन ऑफ एजुकेशन हमने देखे उसमें नॉलेज को कंस्ट्रक्ट करने का फंक्शन हम यहां पर देखेंगे. सो वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन, particularly in this, we are focusing on the research based practices. Now if we have to focus on it, Borish has given us the key behaviors. He has given us key behaviors as well as he has given the helpful behaviors. So Borish, he has actually divided the teacher behavior into these 2 groups. First one he called the key behaviors. That is, they are very essential. Then these behaviors should be supported by the helpful behaviors. So what he sees, he has first given us the definitions. So first we gonna take up the early definitions of effective teaching. The early definition of effective teaching, it is called as the various kind of good or role model definition. This definition is called good teacher or role model definition, a good person or a role model definition. So the earlier definition or the traditional definition of the teacher is that he should be a moral entity. हम हमेशा कहते हैं ना कि टीचर कैसा होना चाहिए, टीचर रोल मॉडल होना चाहिए. सो द रोल मॉडल डेफिनेशन ऑफ द टीचर, दैट मीन्स दैट द टीचर शुड मीट द कम्युनिटी आइडियल्स फॉर अ गुड सिटीजन, फॉर अ गुड पेरेंट, फॉर अ गुड एम्प्लॉय. So a good person in a whole or a role model for the learner. So the traditional definition of the effective teaching that you should be the role model. Now, after the introduction, because this is the philosophical definition, we also call it the philosophical definition. We may call it philosophical definition because it is talking about the philosophy. Philosophically, teacher should be a role model, but after the introduction of psychology and the emergence of the education psychology, what we have seen that definition has been replaced by or emerged as a psychological characteristics of the teacher. Not only the philosophical characteristics. Now they call about the psychological characteristics. So if we are talking about psychological characteristics, what we see that it should identify the psychological characteristics of a good teacher. That means what should be the personality of the teacher, what should be the attitude of the teacher, what should be the experience of the teacher, what are the aptitude and achievements of the teacher. So in particular, when we are talking about the psychological attributes, they will revolve around the personality, attitude, aptitude, achievement, experiences, and various theories attributed to it. So there is a problem with this definition also. Philosophically, we have seen that the teacher should be the role model. The teacher should be the role model. But if he is a role model, will it benefit that student? We cannot be sure about it. Why we are not? Because we have seen that morality or the goodness of the teacher does not or cannot convert into the morality or development of the child if the proper interventions are not there. So proper interventions are important. Therefore, after we have seen that interventions in the development of the child are important, बालक के development में हस्तक्षेप interventions कितने हैं ये important थे. Then what we have seen? We have seen that the educationists had moved on towards the psychological definitions, but the psychological definitions is also lacking in day-to-day classroom work. It may be that personality is very good, but is it applicable for a good method, for a good strategy? So nowadays we are focusing on day-to-day work in the classroom, because psychologically a personality is very good, but if he doesn't know the method and strategy to teach the learner, to develop the personality of the learner, then it is not helpful. Therefore, what we have seen? We have seen that gradually this definition of psychological characteristics have also lost its shine. It has also faded away. And nowadays we not focus on the personality of not only focus on the personality of the teacher, we are also focusing on various skills possessed by the teacher, particularly in the field of teaching learning processes. What methods, what strategies, what techniques, what skills the teacher is having. And if he is not having those skills, we are not going to choose that. Therefore, the paper first is all about the skills you may have. So, for defining effective teaching, we have to define that highlights the importance of teacher behavior in the class, and the behavior has impact on the teacher, on the student, sorry. The behavior of the teacher, what kind of impact it is giving to the students, that is the effect on the students due to the behavior of the teacher. So Boris identifies 5 key behaviors and 5 helpful behaviors. So definition that highlights the importance of behavior in the classroom, that we see the 5 key behaviors and the 5 helpful behaviors. So the 5 behavior, if we are talking about the key behavior, that is lesson clarity, 1 number, instructional variety, 2 number, teacher task orientation, 3rd behavior, key behavior, engagement in the learning process, 4th behavior, and student success rate, 5th behavior. So the key behavior of the effective teaching that we have to find in the teacher, if we are evaluating a teacher, or if the teacher is self-evaluating, he has to develop these behaviors within him. They are lesson clarity, what you going to teach, what are the objectives of that lesson, you have to clear about that, because if you don't know the goal, you cannot find the way. That is a simple logic. If we don't know where we have to go, then how we gonna find the way towards that thing? So to finding way towards that thing, we have to actually decide the goal. मंजिल मिलने के बाद ही रास्ता मिलता है. So we have to decide the goal, then we can be on the righteous path. Then second thing comes the instructional variety. Various kind of instructions which we have to provide during the teaching learning process. Task orientation. Teacher has to ascertain that various tasks which he has taken, they are being oriented with his behavior. Engagement of the teacher as well as the learner in the process. And lastly, after the process, student should achieve the learning. That is the success rate of the students. On the basis of these key behaviors, Boris has also identified 5 helpful behaviors which are in association with these 5 behaviors. They are using student ideas, structuring, questioning, probing, and teacher affect. First one, we have to provide the freedom to the learners so that they can give their ideas, and we have to use their ideas within our teaching learning process. Secondly, we have to consider the structures of the teaching learning process priorly, because if structuring is not there, we may find that in between the process we are having some kind of hindrances. बाधाएं मिल सकती हैं, hindrances मिल सकते हैं if structures are not properly planned. So they are also helpful. Then the questioning techniques, because participation of the learner can be ensured with the regular questioning techniques. So if you have the questioning techniques, they are very helpful for engagement of the learner. And then comes the teacher effect. Then comes the probing. You have to probe on the learner, push him to generate the curiosity, ask the questions, discover the answers, construct the knowledge. You have to probe, constantly probe the learner for that. So you should have good probing techniques and strategies. And lastly, the teacher effect. The teacher effect. So what we see? We see that if the teacher is angry, if the teacher is sad, if the teacher is anxious, So the effects of the teacher are also very important. If we are not mentally cool and serene, we cannot have a good class. So we should have emotional control. We should have control over our effects. So if we are controlling our effects, we will take a very nice and good class. So let us discuss them one by one. 5 key behaviors. So first one is the lesson clarity. So ideas should be clear to all learners at all levels. Various ideas within the curriculum. For that, ideas should be conveyed in a step-by-step clear order manner. In the clear manner, these ideas should be conveyed. The ideas which you are facilitating, the instructions which you are facilitating should be uncomplicated and with minimal distractions. So for that, Boris has suggested the advanced organizer model given by Ausubel. So the advanced organizer model teaching has been given by David Ausubel, an educationist. So he is suggesting to have the clarity of various concepts, ideas. You should use the advanced organizer. In the advanced organizer model, Ausubel has suggested that right from the beginning to the summary of the lesson, we should be clear about what kind of concepts we are going to understand or learn through this exercise, through this activity, or through this lesson. If you are not sure about the various kind of objectives, if you are not sure about what kind of concepts or ideas we are facilitating through this lesson, then you cannot be sure about your strategy, you cannot be sure about your method. So this kind of is given by Ausubel. In the separate class, I will talk about all the methods, name of all the methods. In the beginning of a lesson and summary at the end of the lesson are very helpful for clarity. We will use the advanced organization at the beginning and summary at the end. So the question will be asked directly. Advanced organization question has been asked in the June 2019 paper. In the June 2019 paper, Ausubel's advanced organizer has been asked again and again. Then comes the instructional variety. The instructions we are providing to the learner, it should have variety. So variations in the instructions, what it ensures. Whenever we are talking about the variations in the instructions, what we see, we will see that there are variety of teaching tools, be it the technological ICT tools. The question this year has been asked about the ICT. What ICT is providing us? It is providing us the instructional variety. ICT is providing us the instructional variety. Then comes the materials. There are various kinds of teaching learning materials, teaching learning aids, what we call them. So teaching tools, be it technology, material, activities, space, displays, everything we are seeing, that is the part of the instructional variety. On the basis of these, we will have the variations. Then the voice modulation, we will have the variations of the voice. I often say that how you can use the variation of the voice, like the variation in Hindi we call it aroh avroh. Like, how are you gonna use it? 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 3 4 5 6. So this is the variation. You can upscale your voice or downscale your voice according to the impact you want to produce through the voice modulation. The gestures, you can use your eyes, you can use your hands, you can use your body. So gestures can also be helpful to create the variations in the instructions. Rewards, reinforcement. Like one example has been given, when questioning, use a variety of questions: fact questions, process questions, convergent questions, divergent questions. So that is the question technique. But what I am saying, that in the question technique, you will use the variety of questions. So you can use the fact questions, that is the factual question, that is the knowledge based question, or the process questions, that is the understanding questions, or the application questions, or the convergent or the divergent kind of questions. So you are providing the variations through the gestures, through the rewards, through the reinforcers, through your techniques, through the various kind of teaching tools. Then comes the third one. Third one is the teacher task orientation. So if we are talking about teacher task orientation, what we see that to maximize the time spent teaching, how we can maximize our time of teaching, so that if we are handling interruptions very smoothly, very quickly, expedite the transfer of material, quickly put an end to the distracting behavior of any learner, organizing our lesson very well so that integrated or the chunked concepts can be taken up together. If there are various transitions, they should be smooth transitions from one format to another format. If there are variations, if we want to have the transitions, then we should have smooth transitions. So these kind of thing can only be taken up if you are planned your task and prepared best for it. If unprecedented things are not happening within the class, most of the things are happening within the planned vision of your class. Also, if you are capable of dealing with the any kind of interruptive or abruptive situations, then you can be sure to have this. Then comes the fourth point, and that is engagement in the learning process. To ensure that every child present within the class is engaged in the process. Because if engagement is not there, then we cannot ensure the 100% learning of the learner. For ensuring the 100% learning of the learner, we should be prepared and ensured to have the engagement of the learner. So we should constantly monitor either the individual or the group, set rules. For any kind of thing, you can set rules. Because if the rules are being put in the action and they have been discussed thoroughly with the students, then there is very scope of engaging maximum. Then keeping a schedule so that there should be no confusion. Then giving independent work that is interesting. So we should have abundant resources on hand. If we have abundant resources, we should have multiple resources, we should have a various kind of strategies, methods, and the resources, then we can ensure the proper learning. Then we can ensure the maximum engagement. Then we can have the maximum engagement. That is, your hand will be slightly above students' abilities. And lastly, then we see student success rate. The fifth element in this. So students should spend about 60 to 70% of their time on tasks that allow almost complete understanding of the material. If they are having the complete understanding of the material, then we will say that they have minimum occasional errors. Always the content should reflect the prior learning. Then taking them stepwise towards the new material. Then they will have the maximum learning. And if they have the maximum achievement of the learning, that is called the student success rate. Borisha says that 60 to 70% is there, that is a good ratio. If the learner is understanding 60 to 70% of the content, then it is very good. So they are the 5 key behaviors for the teacher. Then we say that 5 helpful behaviors. So if we are talking about the 5 helpful behaviors, do anybody have any problem in the key behaviors? Then we will take up now the helpful behaviors. Anybody on the app or on the YouTube? Okay, you don't have the problem. Let us continue then. So the 5 helpful behaviors, if we are talking about, first behavior is using student ideas and contributions. Because nowadays what we are seeing that the learning is student centered. So if it is student centered, that means it should include the contribution of the learner. That is the ideas being contributed. That is the functioning being contributed. So we have to use the mediated dialogues. Show to acknowledge, modify, apply, compare and summarize the responses given by the students wherever it is necessary, because we have to have the constraint of necessity. It should not be irrelevant, because if the learner is sharing some irrelevant ideas or irrelevant things, then we should not use it. It means it should be relevant to the lesson we are taking up. During the teaching learning process, we should ensure that they should be there. Then comes the second one, that is the structuring. So teachers should reinforce the learned content and make correlation of this learned content with the new content which we are providing. For that, we have to use the advanced organizer, summary. So teachers should organize the lessons so that everything is being structured from the previous knowledge to the new knowledge. So these structures which we are focusing on, they always lead the child from previous knowledge to the new knowledge. So we will see the chunking, we will see the subsumption, due to this process. So this is the structuring part. Then comes the questioning, the third one. So this is very important tool, particularly for the teacher, because questioning helps us to understand the child. It also helps us to prompt the child. It also helps us to assess the child. It also helps us to provide hints to the child. Through the questioning technique, we can provide hints. We can initiate the curiosity of the child. We can facilitate the discovery or inquiry by the child. So there are various kind of things which can be initiated through the questioning technique used by the teacher. So the teacher should use a variety of questions. And according to Boris, it is a helpful technique, but according to my opinion, it is my opinion and it has not been asked anywhere. So in my opinion, questioning should be the one of the key words. It should be one of the keywords, key skills of the key behaviors of the teacher. Because if you have the good questioning skill, you could actually facilitate any kind of thing with the learner. So be sure to include questions that require thinking and problem solving. So actually we try to facilitate the learner's thinking and the problem solving skills through our questioning process. After we have initiated the curiosity within the child, after we have led the child on the path of discovery and inquiry, then we'll start the next quality, that is probing. So we will see the probing. In the probing, we draw more out of the student responses. They will elaborate on their ideas through elicit clarification, solicit additional information, redirecting the discussion. They will be our techniques for probing. We will elicit clarification, clarify it. We will solicit, give more information, give more information, give more information. We will redirect the discussion. No. This can be the point of view, so that we are redirecting various kind of discussions. So we are probing the child to go on the new paths of thinking. When he is going towards the multiple path of thinking, it will help the child in developing the clarity, the understanding about the content, about the lesson, about the text, about anything which he or she is learning. So we are actually leading the child, helping the child to discover the content rather than rote learn it. We are actually, through the probing, we are leading the child to discover the content through the curiosity and then construct the knowledge. Not we are providing the various kind of information and is saying the child to mug it up, rote learn it. So probing actually helps in this kind of thing. Then lastly, the teacher effect, the fifth point we have seen. So that is the third point, fourth point, and fifth point. So the teacher effect. So if teacher is not very enthusiastic about the teaching learning process, if he is very dull in his mood, if it is not jubilant, if his body, his gesture, his posture is not exerting the energy towards the learner, that means he himself or herself is not enjoying the teaching. Then how he gonna develop the kind of relation expected in the teaching learning process? He cannot develop it. So what we see that to develop the teacher-learner relationship, to develop the teacher-learner relationship, we have to use our affect, inflection in voice, inflection in movement, inflection in gesturing, having eye contact with the learner, prompting him again and again while teaching. So we will see these 5 helping behaviors. So after having these helping behaviors, we will move on towards the teaching effectively with the diverse learners and content. Because if we develop these 10 things, the 5 key features and the 5 supporting features, now we can talk about the diverse learners and the content, which is being asked in again and again. So the key behaviors will lead us to the consistent effectiveness across all or most teaching context. If we develop all these things, then we will move on towards the all teaching context. The helping behaviors may be applied differently in helping lower and higher SES students achieve success across areas of instructions such as reading, mathematics, etc. So whenever we are having these 10 behaviors, 5 key behaviors and 5 helping behaviors, we are gonna better equipped to help the diverse learners as well as conduct the diverse content. So it will involve the complexity of the teaching. What is the complexity of the teaching? We will see that orchestration and integration of key and helping behaviors into meaningful patterns to create effective teaching practices. पंकज कश्यप जी, नेक्स्ट वीक में इसका डेमो लेना शुरू करूंगा, उसके नेक्स्ट वीक से, क्योंकि मैं दिसंबर के लिए प्लान करूंगा एजुकेशन का जो है, करंट के बैच नहीं लूंगा मैं अभी, ऑनलाइन जो बैच रहेगा वो अब दिसंबर एग्जाम के लिए जाएगा, ठीक है। क्योंकि नेट के लिए जिस लेवल का पढ़ाना होता है वो थोड़े में नहीं पढ़ाया जाता, बहुत सारे लोग बहुत सारा बेवकूफ बनाते हैं यूट्यूब के ऊपर भी और अलग अलग जगह, बहुत कम पढ़ाकर बच्चे को भेज देते हैं, और जब वह कम पढ़ाकर भेज देते हैं तो दिक्कत होती है. Actually, SCS is the institution where they have given this theory. Barish was a teacher, a professor in the SCS institute. It is SCS, so he has taken up the term SCS students. Shivani, got the point? So then comes the professional teaching standards. On the basis of this, there was in America the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards, NBTS. In the next class, we will take up this NBTS, as well as their trend principles to assess the new teacher assessment in some given by the new Interstate New Teacher Assessment and Support Consortium to assess the effectiveness of the teacher, whether the teacher is effective in the class or not. We have to see these 10 principles also. In the next class, we will see these 10 principles also. For this, Fuller postulated 3 stages of concerns through which teachers pass on the way to become a professional. Those are: first one, concern for self; second one, concern for teaching tasks; third one, concern for the impact on learners. So transition to the real world of teaching, what we see? We will see the 3 concerns which has been given by Fuller in 1969. First one is concern for self. Whether we are concerned for our skills, whether we are concerned for our development, then we will develop everything which is needed for the learning, for becoming a teacher, for becoming an effective teacher. So Fuller says that if you are not concerned about yourself, grooming yourself, then you cannot be serious about the teaching. मैं हमेशा इस बात को कहता हूं, अगर आप एक बालक जो 24 घंटे आपके साथ रहता है, जो आप स्वयं हैं, अगर आप शिक्षक के नाते उसे डेवलप नहीं कर सकते, तो फिर आप कैसे सोच सकते हैं कि नेक्स्ट जनरेशन को, अगली पीढ़ी को आप पढ़ाने लायक भी हैं? You cannot be equipped for teaching the next generation. So first, you should be concerned for yourself. Then you should be concerned for teaching task, whatever task you have to take up. And then you have to be concerned for various impact on the learners. These are the 3 concerns which we have to take up. In the next class, we will take up the NBTS 5 core propositions and INTASC 10 principles. Any query you are having with you? Ask anything you want to ask. कोई क्वेरी हो आपकी तो पूछ लीजिए. शिवानी जी, अभी मैंने एडवांस ऑर्गेनाइजर क्लियर नहीं किया है. सिर्फ मैंने कहा ये एडवांस ऑर्गेनाइजर यूज करना है. हम ऑर्गेनाइज जब करते हैं तो उसके लिए एक मॉडल है एडवांस ऑर्गेनाइजर, एंड वी विल सी द टीचिंग मॉडल्स, तो उसमें हम देखेंगे. आप अगर डिटेल में एडवांस ऑर्गेनाइजर पढ़ेंगे तो उसमें दिक्कत है अभी, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर क्वेश्चंस नहीं आ रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो टीचिंग मॉडल्स के नाम मैं सारे बता दूंगा जो नाम आ रहे हैं, और वो किस बेसिस के उसमें हम क्या करते हैं वो भी मैं सारी चीजें बताऊंगा. लेकिन शॉर्ट में देखेंगे, हम डिटेल में देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. अभी तो हमने सिर्फ कहा कि बिगिनिंग ऑफ द लेसन शुड यूज एडवांस ऑर्गेनाइजर. एडवांस ऑर्गेनाइजर के ऊपर हमने और कोई बात नहीं करी. बारिश सिर्फ ये कहते हैं कि यू शुड हैव द प्रॉपर प्लानिंग. तो प्रॉपर प्लानिंग कब हो सकती है? फॉर एवरी स्टेप ऑफ टीचिंग वी शुड हैव अ सर्टेन प्लान. फॉर दैट ही हैज सजेस्टेड दैट फॉर द starting of the lesson you can use the advanced organizer. Next, वसुंधरा जी अभी तो पीडीएफ नहीं मिल रही है, बाकी इसमें देखेंगे क्योंकि जैसे इसमें आएगा तो आपको उसकी पीडीएफ मिल जाएगी जो लाइव चल रही है। एक्चुअली पीडीएफ में दिक्कत ये ना कि इसका वो बनाया हुआ है हमने, स्लाइड्स बनाई हुई है, तो पीडीएफ बहुत ज्यादा हो जाती है, वॉल्यूम बहुत ज्यादा हो जाता है। जैसे इससे मैंने जो पहले 4 क्लासेस ली हैं वो लगभग 70 पेजेस हैं। 70 पेजेस को प्रिंट आउट लेना, आपको भेजना, वो कोई बहुत बेनिफिशियल नहीं रहता। कोशिश ये कीजिए कि आप उसके नोट्स बना लें, फिर भी मैं देखूंगा नोट्स अवेलेबल करवाने का। चलिए, अब कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है और आपके पास? चलिए, फिर जब मैं पूछता हूँ कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो ओके ओके करके डाल दिया कीजिए, ताकि मैं समझूं हाँ सही में कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं, यू हैव अंडरस्टूड इट वेल, और मैं थोड़ा सा सफल रहा चीजें करवाने में। ठीक है, तो नेक्स्ट क्लास में सभी से मिलते हैं। सभी से अपेक्षा रहेगी निर्माणवाद का प्रचार और प्रसार करें, एक्सपेक्टिंग दैट एवरीबडी विल स्प्रेड द कंस्ट्रक्टिविस्ट एनवायरमेंट सो दैट द लर्निंग कैन बिकम जॉयफुल। इसी नोट के साथ मैं आप लोगों से विदा लेता हूं। आप सभी का धन्यवाद, जो लोग इस वीडियो को देख रहे थे, जो लोग लाइव देख रहे थे। फिर मिलते हैं साथियों, नमस्कार।